What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to some more Umineko When They Cry questions arc. Last episode, what exactly happened? Well, it's hard to explain, but, well, Goda died. That's easy enough to say, but then, Kumasawa turned into Silver Beatrice or something and started going ham, and she probably died. I'm just gonna throw that shit out there. Otherwise, well, we already know all 7 of these people are safe, that's for sure. And these 4 are safe also, we know that for sure. And Nanjo's safe, so I mean, the only 6 left are, you know, boop-a-doop-a-doop-boop. So, yeah, I think it's obvious who died. Also, I'm gonna turn on my heater because it's winter in November. Holy shit. Like, no, really, it's super winter outside. I can't... You know how it's pitch black at night? Well, it's pitch white right now, so that's super fun. Is it called pitch white when it's perfectly white? Who knows? Alright. Beep, 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 beep. I have to go through the whole cycle just to set it to 70 degrees. It's so annoying. And also, my headphone cord's caught under my microphone. Whee! Thump. I don't have one of those shock stands or whatever they're called, so you heard that, sorry. Also, we have kazoo still. Okay. And I have cardboard tube, as always. I have so many sound effect tools for this. If I need anything else, I also have clapper hands. And I have a whistle. That peaked the microphone greatly. And I have, this thing. Yeah, I'm probably not ever gonna need that, but hey, I have things, so that works. Anyways, Rudolph is... I stopped abruptly last time because I had things to do. So now, after this long intermission, for those of you who might be watching these episodes back to back, let's get back into this. Bro, how's Dad? There was no use. I received no response. I tried putting my ear against the door, but I couldn't sense anyone. There's no sign of any of the servants. Where in the world did they disappear to? This isn't funny. Father and the servants are hiding, and there are strange magic circles all over the mansion. What in the world is happening? There weren't only magic circles on the door to the boiler room and the door to the parlor. Oh yeah, shit. They said there were multiple, so I'm just like, are there 6? So, they put 1 in each room? I definitely don't remember anything like that, Christ. There were 2 on the 2nd floor, and 1 on the 3rd floor for a total of 5. Oh, there's only 5? They were all the same magic circle, and all of the doors had been locked, so they couldn't check inside the rooms. It's weird. Anyway, let's do something about the boiler room first. It'd be bad if something broke down and caught fire or exploded. So, we need the key. It should be in the key box in the servant room. But that room's probably blocked off too, isn't it? They fished through that key box. Because each of the servants carried their master keys around, those weren't kept there. However, all of the individual keys should have been there. I can't believe they managed to fit so many keys in there. It isn't here. No matter how much we look, the key to the boiler room isn't here. That's interesting. Look, sis. Only the keys to the rooms with those magic circles drawn on them are totally missing. It's true. How bothersome. They definitely are doing a trick like that, though, aren't they? Where it's just like, there's gonna be one body in the boiler room, and they're gonna have the key to the next room, and then they're gonna have the key to the next room, to the next, and the next, until it forms a ring, right? That's annoying. It's as though someone didn't want us to go into the rooms with the magic circles. No, they went to all the trouble of making those magic circles obvious, so maybe they wanted us to enter. I think it's the latter. This isn't a movie, so breaking down the door is probably impossible. Smashing a window might do the trick, though. For a while, Kraus pondered over whether the situation really called for smashing a window. At that time, Hideyoshi and Nanjo returned. There was nothing strange in the guest house, and the children were safe. They told the others that Rosa and Kyrie had stayed to watch over the place. Good morning. I heard that something strange has happened. Good morning, Dr. Nanjo. I apologize for waking you so early in the morning. What is it? Did you find a letter or something? I was sure you'd have found something like that by now. You're right. I also believe this to be a massive joke or game of fathers. But if that's the case, there should be some letter telling us about it. Like the letter that was given to Maria. What if Maria's letter was actually the announcement, telling us that the game was on? The rules of the game, try solving the riddle of the epitaph, have already been made clear. Then what might the 5 magic circles we found in the mansion represent? And the missing servants? Natsuhi, how many servants were there today in total? Huh? I do not remember. Genji, Goda, 5 of them, but why? So, there are 5 servants. There are also 5 magic circles. It's probably a coincidence, but I don't like it. Brother, let's break a window. We should check and see what's inside. That's the wrong voice. We have no choice. Do it neatly. Kraus made his decision and gave permission to smash a window. Aren't there 2 doors to the boiler room, though? And he decided that the first room would break into... The first room they would break into should be the parlor on the first floor, where the windows would be easiest to reach. Okay, that makes sense. But there are 2 doors to the boiler room. Is that, like... I guess it probably uses the same key, though. They had hoped to peek in through the window, but the curtains were down, so they couldn't see inside. Rudolph wandered around the garden, trying to find something that would be good for smashing the window. A rock, perhaps? Eventually, he found a rock bigger than a fist and came back. You don't have to smash the whole thing. Just open it enough so that you can reach the lock. Don't get your hopes up, okay? Rudolph raised the rock and hit the glass with it several times. I thought he was gonna huck the fucking rock through the window. Eventually, he succeeded in opening a hole big enough that he could unlock it from the outside. Covering his hand with a handkerchief, he stuck his hand through that hole and cautiously unlocked it. We should probably cover it with packing tape later. The rain will get blown in. When he suddenly opened the window, the wind and rain made the curtain dance around violently. That curtain was blown to the side. Those are interesting windows, though. But wait, what? This is a really strange room set. There's like a hallway that goes around the exterior of the parlor, and there's windows to the parlor doors? That curtain was blown to the side. They could see into the parlor they knew well. They were a little relieved. They thought there might be another bizarre magic circle inside the room, or possibly the traces of some creepy ceremony. There's gotta be someone dead, though. In any event, they didn't want to hang around out in the rain. So the 6 of them, Kraus, Natsuhi, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Nanjo, entered the parlor as a group. It seems that nothing in particular has changed. So Shannon's the dead one in here. What's wrong, Shannon? Wait, are you okay? What happened to you? Blood. What's it say, it's Kraus? Blood! Dr. Nanjo, take a look at this. Hey, Shannon, are you okay? Answer me. You mustn't shake her. I will examine her condition now. She had been in the shadow of the sofa, so they hadn't noticed her until they'd entered the room. Shannon was lying on the floor, her chest stained bright red with blood. Huh. Hey, Battler, where are you? Look, Shannon's corpse has turned up, see? I won't bully you anymore, so come out. Where even are they? Like, do they do this, like, womp thing so they're actually in the parlor? Oh, there you are. What are you doing clutching at your head in a place like that? No, they're in this weird tea parlor thing. Okay. Battler was crouching under the table, holding his head. His pitiful figure made it plainly clear that he didn't want to see anything. Didn't want to hear anything. Had he heard Beatrice's sneering voice? Could he not hear, or was he pretending that he couldn't hear? In any event, it was clear that he'd closed up his heart like a shell. Hello, I'm here now. Perhaps you tormented him too much, milady. After showing him all of that and demanding a counter-argument, I can understand why he'd want to mope around. Hey, Battler! If you can't argue back, then resign, okay? It's your turn. If you don't make some move or pass, or else give up, we won't get anywhere. Huh? What's that? I can't hear you. I said be quiet. Shut up. A witch? Magic? Why don't you just do whatever you want? I don't believe any of it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Don't talk to me. Don't show me anything. Disappear, disappear, just disappear. Don't get an annoying face near me. Christ, are you good? Are you fucking broken? Jesus. Beatrice winced reflexively? Is that what that... I've never... Okay. Reflexively at Battler's sudden rage. Even if you say that, if you don't finish your turn, then my turn won't come. In fact, I'm the one asking you to stop boring me. Who cares? Be quiet. Shut up! Who cares about your game? I won't go along with it. If your turn won't come until mine's finished, then just wait for all eternity. I don't know. I don't get it. I won't accept witches or magic. I won't accept something that's screwed up. I said don't talk to me. The Womp Shield. That's Shannon's Womp Shield, but she's dead? I don't know what's what anymore. After being shown something that screwed up, how could I resist? I wandered aimlessly through the rose garden. It was raining and windy, but that didn't mean my body got wet. There was just a feeling of isolation as I wandered amidst the wind and rain without an umbrella. Maybe I lost in that person's game a long time ago. Actually, didn't we already have a clear winner and loser in the last game? After all, I surrendered for a time. That's why the world was tinted with witches and magic. Right now, Rokonjima is a different world, where witches stride around openly and fire off strange spells. It isn't a matter of accepting it or denying it. Maybe I mistakenly assumed that I was playing a game on an even footing with Beato. Maybe I was already defeated in the last game, and this is just a signing ceremony of my surrender. A minute ago, a terrible battle unfolded in this rose garden. I saw it with my own eyes. I kicked the ground. Obviously the ground was hard, and water from a puddle splashed. Several towers had split this ground, sprouting like high-rise buildings. The more I kicked this ground, the more it felt like that couldn't possibly have happened. But for that very reason, I couldn't explain it with anything other than magic anymore. Just say it didn't happen. Like, tell her, say it in red, say it happened. If it was a closed room with a key shut up inside, I know it was probably an extension of stuff you often see in detective novels. But that big flashy thing? Damn it. Is this Silver Beatrice? It seems my disciple has caused you much trouble. Huh? It's you. Someone suddenly spoke to me, so I turned around, and in the Rose Garden Arbor was the predecessor Beatrice, whom Beatrice had supposedly defeated a short while ago. Does she have a name, or is she just predecessor Beatrice? I was sure you died, so you survived. No, I did die. Now I am nothing more than a defeated chess piece loitering outside the chessboard. You're Beato's teacher, right? So in other words, you're a witch too. Yes, that is correct. So basically, I'm Monkey. That means witches really do exist, and the only one who can defeat her isn't me. That'd be you, since you can use awesome magic, right? I'm just useless now. There's nothing I can do anymore. Oh my. Have you surrendered completely? What do you mean, surrender? How am I supposed to explain that? Towers sprouting and falling? Huge giants holding shields and throwing spears? Just remembering it makes me feel like I'm going insane. We're way past the point of trying to reason this all out, aren't we? We've left the level of tricks and things that can be explained with human culprits. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Calm yourself. I am nothing more than a piece on that child's game board. After being removed from that board, I am no longer a being capable of doing anything. But you are that child's opponent. As long as you do not give up on your own, you will always have the power to strike back. Shut up! Weren't you also reciting strange spells and summoning towers and spears? What do you mean, strike back? Are you saying you'll teach me magic too? And make me take part in that massive magic battle? If you wish. I could teach you a bit about magic. Oh, just what I wanted. Please, give me some awesome magic to smash through her chest in one blow. Ha, don't screw with me. I mean, it sounds to me like Silver Beatrice is trying to help you, Batware, but okay. I hear that in Japanese magic there's a ceremony used to pray for rain. Do you know of it? A rain ceremony? The thing where you throw stuff into a fire and dance as an offering? That's not magic. They say that the fire causes an updraft, which makes rain clouds gather. That's supposed to be an accepted scientific phenomenon. Oh? I believed it to be a form of Eastern magic. But is that not the case? I believe people offered sacred fire to the heavens, as well as a dance of respect, so that your fucking, that word for rain, would reach the hearts of the gods. Maybe people did that long ago, but most occult things like that have a scientific explanation. Why do things burn? Isn't it because phlogiston is contained in the material? No, things burn because of a chemical reaction. What the fuck is phlogiston? Lavoisier abolished the phlogiston theory. Fucking... What the hell do they teach you in Japanese schools? This is much cooler than... This is physics. Force times distance equals height, or whatever the fuck. Why does heat transfer through objects? Isn't that because caloric is contained in the material? I'm pretty sure that was abolished by Joule. Heat is energy, not a substance. You have studied well. Your knowledge is accurate. It's just some trivia. Phlogiston, caloric, and eventually ether and God's love are all are powerless before a scientific explanation. In the past, I was told that an apple falling from a tree was thanks to God's love, so that humans would be given food. So even gravity is the love of God. Well, that's probably the remnants from the period when religion, rather than science, was used to explain everything. That is correct. In the past, humans called the limits of their knowledge, no, ignorance itself, magic. Like the rain ceremony we were just talking about. Did the people of ancient times realize that there was a scientific explanation? That fire gave rise to heat to cause updrafts that summoned clouds? Even without understanding these things, they at least knew the result. So is she just trying to say that Beatrice knows how to do something that causes towers to spawn underneath her, that shoot out things in big mammoth thingies? What the fuck? That's weird. That probably happened a lot. That's stuff called knowledge of the ancestors. Even without understanding the reason, through long experience, they knew that they'd achieve results. Phenomena whose principles they didn't understand were probably the same as magic to them. Like this person just said, ancient people who didn't understand those principles probably believed that, through the rain ceremony, their wishes would reach the heavens and make rainfall. To them, that was certainly magic, as long as they didn't understand updrafts. If you push an electrical switch, a light turns on. Children do not know the scientific principles behind why a light bulb lights up. They only know the results when they press the switch. If they obtain such a result without knowing the principles, doesn't that make it magic to them? That's pretty interesting. Well, logically that's true. For example, I don't have a clue why the brawn tubes in a TV show a picture. Still, I think it's totally normal to see things shown on a TV. Even if I don't understand the principles behind brawn tubes, I at least know that if I push the switch, I can watch TV. It's exactly the same as having a rain ceremony without understanding updrafts. In other words, if I don't know the principles, even TV is the same as magic. Or even magic itself, I guess. So what exactly is Silver Beatrice trying to tell us here? Do you know the structure of brawn tubes? Have you ever taken one apart and looked inside? Nope. I think I read about it in a book or something once, but it was complicated and I didn't have a clue. I think that when electrons hit a fluorescent material, it creates luminescence or something like that. That book lied. Actually, there are small people called gremlins shut up inside the brawn tubes. And they do their work with magic. Huh? Don't be stupid. There's no way that's true. How can you deny it if you have never looked inside a brawn tube? I've never looked inside, but I can say for sure that small people like that definitely don't exist. Since there are no brawn tubes here, that is impossible to prove. Yeah, it's impossible to prove right now. But later I can take apart a TV somewhere and show you, and instantly win the argument. So, put another way, my magical theory that gremlins are shut up inside the brawn tubes and display the picture with magic is impossible to disprove until we can verify the contents of a brawn tube, correct? Ugh. What the hell? Is this one of those? Are you trying to say it's a devil's proof? That's a favorite trick of you witches. A devil's proof is a bit of sophistry, one that takes advantage of the fact that negative facts are impossible to prove. We're already 20 minutes in, really? However, it's different from my Brawn Tube's metaphor. That can be resolved simply by taking apart a single television. You're right. It isn't really a devil's proof. You've proposed a scientific theory, and I've proposed a magical one. One of those is the truth, and which one it is can be ascertained at the moment you look inside a Brawn Tube. However, until the instant that happens, we cannot deny each other's theories. So even though only one truth exists, until you look into the Brawn Tube, you can have two conflicting truths existing at the same time. You have a realm in which two truths can exist simultaneously, even though there must be only one truth in existence. Is she just trying to help us so our brain works again? Is the cat in the box alive or dead? If you open the box, you will learn the answer. You will learn the truth. However, until you open the box, you can claim that the cat is alive, and you can also claim that it is dead. Both claims are the correct truth according to the people making them. And even though the two sides are in conflict, neither can win the argument as long as the box remains unopened. In other words, two truths can exist at the same time. Even though there can only be one cat in the box, it is packed with a living and a dead cat, forming a strange separate world. Is this that Schrodinger's thing or whatever? That is what Rokonjima is now. This island is now a different world where a scientific theory and a magical one can exist at the same time. To a resident of the world of science such as yourself, at a glance, it may feel as though this island has been sucked into a world of magic. What if they just gave Battler House synogens, and this is all just an acid trip? That might not be wrong, but it is not accurate. Strictly speaking, it has been moved from the world of science to the gap between that world and the world of magic. So at a glance, it appears to you as though the world is tilted towards the magical side. But in reality, this island is now in a perfectly impartial position with relation to those two opposing worlds. So basically, are they trying to say we're inside that Schrodinger's box? This is fucking weird, what? I don't really get it. The gap between reality and magic? A perfectly impartial world. How's that? Hasn't pretty much everything that's happened been totally not in my favor? Then perhaps you could think of it this way. This is a trial. Think of it as a court where you and Beatrice are laying out opposing claims. Call it a Brawn Tube trial. Your opponent claims that there are tiny people inside the Brawn Tubes, explaining one thing after another, talking about the lives of these tiny people, what they look like, what type of magical power they have. And what do? Well, I study in a library and argue back by explaining how Brawn Tubes are constructed. At this moment, both your claim and that child's claim exist in the court at the same time. If you find your opponent's claim convincing, it might sound like truth to you. It might look like truth to you. That is exactly what you saw. Dots. At this moment on Rokonjima, witches and magic certainly may exist as truth. However, until the moment that the cat's box is opened, that world is an uncertain wave function. The entire situation can be explained by both sides at the same time. However, there is one truth. That set of truths shrinks with observation, and countless truths are weeded out to become one truth. It is like when, in court, the judge hands down his judgment. The two truths from the prosecutors and the defense's claims are reduced in number by the judgment and become one. To say it in your words, this island right now is the world right before looking into a Brawn Tube, right? Therefore, the science theory and the magic theory cannot be denied. And since they cannot be denied, both can exist as truth. Therefore, both witches and magic can exist. However, at the same time, your opinion of denial also exists as truth. It is a world where two conflicting things can exist at once. And it is a world where conflicting truths cannot disprove each other. Have you managed to understand? In other words, no matter how much awesome magic Beato shows me, it's only a claim of a magical theory and it doesn't disprove my position. So no matter what kind of magic Beato shows me in this world, it cannot become proof that magic exists. That's right. That child might even try to explain an apple falling from a tree with magic, perhaps by shaking her staff and magically plucking the apple, then claiming to be the thing that made it drop down to the earth. However, that would be nothing more than another claim, None of your opponent's claims can prevent you from making yours. In that sense, this world is quite impartial to both sides. I get it. Still, by that argument, if I show a sound argument with my science theory and it collides head-on with her magic theory, I also can't win against her. On top of that, the final judgment won't come until we peek into the Brawn Tube. Where is the Brawn Tube in this world? Because it exists, there should be no reason for us to argue. Why don't we just get along and peek into the Brawn Tube? If there really is a tiny person in there, it's my complete loss. Otherwise, it's my victory. Why do we have to hold this debate without looking into the Brawn Tube? That itself is the game you are being challenged to. Maybe instead of a court, I should use chess as an example. Oh, here comes the chess metaphors. There, victory and loss are not determined by a judge. You who fight will decide it yourselves. Can you win an argument with an opponent in a screwed up world where multiple truths can exist at the same time? In actual fact, didn't you lose an argument and surrender like this? Heh. Thing is, Beatrice can actually remove truths with the red truth, and Battler can create new truths through the red truth. That is all the advice I can give you now. If you wish, I can occasionally offer you counsel. Sure. Thanks, that really helps. I'll avenge you. Thank you. I look forward to it. What's your name? Beatrice used to be my name, but now that I have surrendered it, I do not have a name. So you're just nameless. So I shall take a temporary name. Virgilius. Virgilius? Okay. No. How about Virgilia? That actually sounds really familiar now that I think about it. Virgilia. Like Valkyria? Wasn't that a name for goddesses that show up in myths? No. It means the guide who leads the way to Beatrice. I will guide you to that child, who waits at the summit of Mount Purgatory. It ought to be a fitting name for such a guide. Also, I just remembered. I heard, yeah, okay. Virgilia, a now retired Endless Witch and Beatrice's teacher. She used the Endless magic properly and devoted her life to the smiles and happiness of many people. She taught Beatrice the Endless magic, believing that Beatrice would also devote herself to the people and retired. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point to this as the source of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. And what does this look like? Oh, that's actually pretty good. Huh. Who would have guessed I'd accept help from a witch when I'm trying to deny witches? I see. If this is a contradictory world where different claims can exist at the same time, I guess that's cool. It's almost funny. I am borrowing that child's words, but you truly are like a phoenix. Your will to fight has already been revived. Come, if your heart is prepared, return to your opponent. Return to the chessboard where that child is seated. I look forward to seeing how far you can fight with my disciple. Yeah, watch it. I won't listen to her babbling anymore. I'll coolly fight to the end. I definitely won't get provoked by her any longer. Then let us return to the seat of the battle. Womp. Oh, Bachelor, where did you run off to? And I thought losers never came back for more. Sorry to keep you waiting. I've cooled my head a little. And? Did you think of response to that pleasant, thrilling, refreshing, highly acclaimed, wonderful fantasy battle between teacher and me? Isn't that impossible to explain without fantasy? Milady, didn't you just promise to be kind and act more gracefully? Oh no, oh no. I just got in such a good mood when I saw Battler's face, you see? Look, look, look. How are you gonna respond to that battle just now, Battler? She's going fucking nuts. She used to be kind of composed, and now she's just like... Battle? What battle? What? In this rose garden, where do you see those spears and towers you made lying around? They aren't here, are they? In other words, it's just like the inside of a brawn tube. The fuck is a brawn tube? In the inside of a brawn tube? What in the world are you talking about now? At this very moment, there's nothing at all in the rose garden. Towers may have been sprouting with magic until a short while ago. However, that's only the case until we see what's inside the brawn tube. That magical battle is nothing more than your interpretation, your claim. The fact that there's absolutely nothing to see here now proves it. This is how I argued back about that witch's battle just now. Right now, there isn't anything here which proves that nothing happened. What the fuck? Come now, of course I can't make a huge mess when it's only the first twilight, and I'm rather fond of that rose garden, you see. To prevent any damage, I had the fight occur inside a barrier, so it's only natural that it wouldn't have any influence on reality. That's your claim? Well, I guess that works. However, at this point in time, there was nothing in the rose garden, so nothing stands in the way of my claim that there was no magic done here. Wait. Can you deny my magic with a mess like that? It is impossible to prove that magic does not exist. It is a devil's proof. At this point in time, this garden is the truth. The instant you look inside, the tiny people inside the bronze tube will vanish. And there are no traces of magic here at all. What the fuck are you going on about with bronze tubes? So that battle between you witches did not take place. What the... That counter? That power? Could it be? Have you forgotten, milady? It is a multi-layered world's reduction technique. The power of a finite witch, the counter to the power of an endless witch. Only an endless witch can perceive it, and it is most effective against such a witch. Schrodinger's cat box? Ah, that old hag of a witch. What an uncalled for hint. We've lost time. Including the 5 servants and grandfather, there are 6 corpses. Let me check the scene. I've been trudging along wasting time. From now on, I'll speed things up, okay? Phoenix Wright! Take a seat, Beatrice. It's finally the first twilight, isn't it? Let's start the real thing. Show me what you've got. They just transitioned from Womp with more Womp textures. Cool. Alright. The current time is 7. Very nice. Okay. Forget what the adults expected. At least for us kids, these were supposed to be a fun couple of days where the cousins deepened their friendship. However, when we woke up, there was an unbelievably cruel reality waiting for us. Heck. George and Jessica were crying over Shannon and Camden's deaths, so they already found the 6 bodies? Right now, everyone who was alive had gathered in the lobby on the first floor of the guest house, and there were 12 people there. Unbelievable, right? There were 18 until yesterday, and in one night, a third of that number had lost their lives. I eventually sobered up from my agitation, and along with my lack of sleep from being woken up so early in the morning, I was beginning to feel a faint sense of unreality. I want to think this is some kind of bad dream. My cheap escapism keeps telling me that over and over. Maria had gone back to sleep on the sofa Rosa was sitting in. Rather than her having nerves of steel, she probably genuinely hadn't had enough sleep. Oh, now I'm Gunman. The adults were holding items from what was apparently grandfather's collection. Short-barrel Winchester rifles. Apparently relics from a time he'd been obsessed with westerns. There were 4 guns altogether. Really? There's only 4? I mean, there are 4? Those had been split up among the 4 siblings. Uncle Kraus, Aunt Eva, my dad, and Aunt Rosa. Paper boxes filled with bullets lay on the table, and the siblings were silently loading them. It's a little scary. Even now, touching one of these. I get the feeling Dad'll yell, "Don't touch that," and hit me. Well, isn't that great? No matter how much you touch them, you won't be hit again. I can't believe it. To think that Father would meet this kind of end. Well, I never did expect Kinzo to die normally in his bed, but even so, it is too horrible. Hey, I wonder if that really was Father. I think it might be a different person's corpse, used as a substitute to trick us. No, it was Father without a doubt. You saw his toes, right? Generally speaking, there aren't many humans with 6 toes on both feet. So he was burned to death again. Why is he's been burned to death twice now? And I guess Cannon's died in the same way twice now also. But doesn't that mean that such people don't exist? I've heard that polydactyly isn't that rare a disease. He was a man who liked large-scale tricks, right? He might have obtained a corpse from somewhere that had the same number of toes on both feet. Ridiculous. Why would he do something like that? I'd agree if it was a normal person, but it's his father we're talking about. You can't be sure Kirie's talking nonsense. After all, burning a corpse makes it hard to identify. Still, there should be a few ways to examine him from his teeth and bone structure. If the police investigated, of course they'd be able to know whose body it was right away. So are they... No, it still says they're all alive, but they've said that they're dead? The problem is that we need a telephone engineer more than the police right now. The boats probably won't come in this typhoon, so will they arrive tomorrow? Most likely, the boat will come again at 9 tomorrow. Then I believe we will be able to contact the police. It's the same for us and the culprit. Until the typhoon passes, this island will be closed off. I kind of just guess who's talking whenever it's a screen like that, where we don't have the sprites, so... Just from our parents' conversation, you could probably figure out the general gist, but let's explain the situation anyway. First, early that morning... Okay, there we go. In various places throughout the mansion, a total of 6 corpses, including grandfather and all the servants, had been found one after another. Okay, well, so... Alright, I see. So, Kumasawa, her corpse was found in the guest room on the 2nd floor. The weapon used on her is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. The seldom-used 2nd floor guest room was her secret napping spot. So she was in the 2nd floor guest room. Goda, his corpse was found in a waiting room on the 3rd floor. The weapon used on him is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. The room next to the study is fitting for him, considering how much he wanted to earn Kinzo's favor. So he was in a waiting room. Cannon, his corpse was found in the chapel. Oh! Okay. The weapon used on him is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. For Cannon, the chapel. Let him continue to protect the Lord's precious place even after death. Shannon we know is the parlor. Her corpse was found in the parlor on the 1st floor. The weapon used on her is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. Let Shannon have the parlor, with its wonderful view of the rose garden on sunny days. Genji, his body was found in the VIP room on the 2nd floor. The weapon used on him is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. To thank Genji for his many years of service, let us allow him to rest in the VIP room. And then Kinzo must have been the boiler room. His body was found as a burnt corpse in the underground boiler room's incinerator. No evidence of a struggle was found inside the incinerator, so it's probably reasonable to assume that he was burned after his murder. Too bad this time, it was game over right from the start. So they were all thrown in different rooms based on actual traits of theirs, or is this just bullshit that they're spewing out? Huh. But hey, at least the 7 parents survived the first Twilight for once, so we can actually see how they deal with this. First, grandfather had been in the boiler room, completely burnt. The servants had died, each shut up in the rooms throughout the mansion that had magic circles drawn on them. So wait. Do they all have like a similar wound? Slash. Well, that's less of a slash. Like, the rest of these you can clearly tell are, like, slashes right across their body, but hers is, like, weird looking. I guess she just had less of a severe wound. Whatever. The cause of death for the servants was uncertain, but according to Dr. Nanjo's diagnosis, there was a high likelihood that they had been stabbed by something like a spear, or possibly shot with a gun. That was why the adults had started arming themselves with Winchesters. And what made the situation even more chaotic was the fact that the telephones had become unusable. It was unknown if lightning had caused them to break down or if the culprit had broken them. At any rate, since contact with the outside had been cut off, we couldn't reach the police. So until the typhoon passes and a boat comes tomorrow morning, we'll have to protect ourselves. After all, Rokkenjima is now isolated by the typhoon. And just as we're stuck on the island, so is the culprit. It seemed that the adults had stayed up all night, holding the family conference in the mansion's dining hall the whole time, and yet the crime had occurred in the mansion. So right when the adults had been in an uproar over money, the murderer had been killing under the same roof. They say Aunt Natsuhi's been strict about locking the doors and windows at the night, and yet some suspicious person had entered and left the mansion. The adults had decided that the inside of the mansion was too large to be safe. Well, we do know that Goda was in the process of locking all the doors and windows and stuff, so they probably just went through one that wasn't locked yet. So they had pulled out the guns and moved to the guest house where we had been. Which brings us to the present. George had begged to see Shannon's corpse, but the adults had refused, saying that he mustn't do so until the police arrived. Oh. They're doing that shit again like they did in the first game, preventing him from seeing her corpse? Is that just a coincidence, or... who knows. That wasn't just because they wanted to see all the rooms to preserve the scene. After all, the culprit who had killed 6 people was wandering about the mansion. To the Ushiromiyas family right now, the mansion that should have been their home was now a danger zone that an unknown murderer could enter and leave at will. After all, it's a huge mansion. There are plenty of blind spots and dark places, and it's too vast to guarantee absolute safety with this number of people. Relatively speaking, the guest house was much smaller. It had 2 above-ground stories, something like 10 or so rooms. Apparently it had originally been constructed to serve as a small hotel, as part of the plan to turn this island into a resort. So it was easier to know what was going on everywhere inside it, and it'd be easier to keep safe. It made for a good place to hole up in. So they're all in the guest house, okay. Also, it was extremely likely that this mass murder of 6 people was a game. After all, the culprit had proclaimed so in a letter. I heard that a Western-style envelope with the family crest, just like the one Maria claimed to have received from Beatrice yesterday, had been found in the boiler room where grandfather's corpse had been discovered. This was what the letter said. So that there will be no misunderstandings, the game I seek is for everyone to try and solve the riddle of the epitaph. Not for you to try and catch me. If you don't solve the riddle, the pitiful sacrifices will further increase in number. It would be wiser to spend your time solving the epitaph instead of searching for me. If no one can solve the riddle, no one will survive. If a person appears who can miraculously solve it, I will give them all the gold of the Golden Land, the Ushiromiyas family headship, and all of my power. I was the one who succeeded the Ushiromiyas family headship after Kinzo. I look forward to seeing who will succeed to that headship after me, the Golden Witch Beatrice. The riddle of the epitaph was that thing. That strange epitaph written by the portrait of the witch on display in the hall of the mansion. Grandfather was the one who had it written, and the person who solved it would supposedly be given the inheritance or the hidden gold or something like that. Ever since it was first put on display there several years ago, the relatives have secretly tried to solve that riddle, despite saying on the surface that the whole idea was silly. However, up until today, no one had solved it. We were once again being urged to solve that unintelligible riddle, and this time we were faced with the threat that we'd all be killed if we didn't solve it. If that wasn't a game, what else could it be? The bold opinion that we should search the premises for the culprit did come out at once. However, there was a good chance they were armed, and there might not be just one of them. And while they might have been able to kill more than 6 people, they had stopped at 6. The opinion that won out in the end was that we should avoid needlessly antagonizing the culprit, and hole up in a safe place while we waited for the police to arrive. So they're all just in the guest house. Okay. But they're gonna split up somehow, of course. After the adults carefully checked that the doors and windows in the guest house were locked, they set up camp in the lobby. As they loaded their guns to distract themselves from the tension, their expressions showed that they were already fatigued from this long day, which had still barely begun. There was nothing for me to do. Now all I could do was be taught how to use a gun, to prepare for the off chance of something happening that led to an excess of guns. That's fine. Just obediently stay there, me and the rest of you. 6 people in the beginning again. And this time it's grandfather and all of the servants put together. Most likely, that child has carefully studied your moves from the last game, and has made an optimal move by taking the pieces you were most likely to suspect from the start. That makes sense. That was true both last time and the time before that. The servants, who know everything about the mansion and who walk around with keys, always fall into the most suspicious category of people. A good example in the last game would be Jessica's closed room. If I'd only accepted that a servant was the culprit, that wouldn't even have been a closed room. And so, that child went straight for them, probably to block off a method of escape you'd be likely to attempt sooner or later. Beato already proclaimed and read that there are no more than 18 people on this island. In other words, it's time to give up on that. Now I've got to suspect one of the 18. The child will probably come at you by stealing the pieces for all the 18, while also making an appearance as a 19th person who shouldn't exist. For then you would be forced to accept that your opponent is a witch. After all, now that the intimidation approach has failed, trying to force you to surrender by showing you magic, the only remaining option is a frontal attack. Perfect. Bluffing won't work anymore. Be careful. Deception is what witches are best at. No matter what your opponent says or shows you, it will not be able to threaten the truth that you believe in. Don't forget that. Sure, as if I'd fall for the same moves over and over. Come on out, Beatrice. Let's get started. I am already seated at the table of the contest, and my turn is already complete. To think we would end up having Madame as our foe. This will not be easy, milady. Our moves will be read thoroughly. I care not. By now, teachers' moves are all old-fashioned classics. There is nothing to fear. So, just what moves can you make beyond the classics I taught you? I look forward to seeing, Beatrice. You okay with this, battler? Can someone who denies witches really accept a witch as a strategist? Your stupid provocation is pointless. This is my advisor. No, my second. That doesn't change one bit, that this is a fist fight between you and me. I understand. One as wobbly as yourself probably needs training wheels on his bicycle. Do as you like. Come, let us begin. It's your turn. Let's begin with the reconstruction of the crime scene. Virgilia, quickly please. The first corpse discovered was Shannon's. She was found in the parlor on the first floor of the mansion. The door and windows were locked and a closed room was established. Beto, I need some details. Let's confirm the definition of a closed room. Indeed. The term closed room refers to a room where the inside and the outside are completely cut off from each other. Naturally, it will be impossible to even affect things across that boundary line, much less enter or escape across it. This includes an all-inclusive denial of the existence of hidden doors, as well as all possibility of intervention from the outside. Henceforth, this shall be referred to as Beatrice's closed room definition. Let's focus in a bit. How do you define all possibility of intervention from the outside? I refer to all types of direct intervention from the outside, such as using a fishing line or a long thin rod. In conclusion, there are no gaps in the doors and windows through which such tricks will work. I wonder about that. Even if there wasn't a gap, you should be able to interfere with radio waves, like with a remote control, right? Very well, I'll add to this definition that interference due to radio waves and related methods of remote control shall be impossible. There's also an extension telephone in the parlor. A device connected to that wouldn't count as remote control, right? The phones are already unusable, are they not? Oh, whatever. I'll include that too. All direct and indirect methods of interfering with the inside of the closed room from the outside of the room are impossible. What about a voice or a knock? Those should be able to interfere from the outside without someone entering the room, right? Even though it's a closed room, it probably isn't impossible for someone to knock or call out. The closed room definition does not cover whether transmission of intent across the boundary is possible or not. In other words, you can't make it so your definition includes the blockage of all methods of communication with the outside. That is indeed the case. Understood. So Shannon's parlor satisfies Beatrice's closed room definition, right? Correct. Closed room definition understood. Continue, Virgilia. Yes. Shannon's corpse was in possession of one master key. The relatives who discovered her collected this. Beato, repeat it. How many master keys this time? The same as last time. There are 5, one for each servant. Which means this still isn't a closed room. There are still 4 master keys left. It just means that after Shannon was murdered, one of the other 4 keys locked it. Correct. And it wasn't only a master key that was found. Yes. Alongside the corpse, there was a western envelope with the family crest. Instead of a letter, the key to a guest room on the 2nd floor was inside it. The key to a 2nd floor guest room. The only key other than the master key that can open the door to that 2nd floor guest room. Is that definition correct? Indeed, there is no problem, and unlike the master keys, only one of those exists. In other words, apart from the 5 master keys, there will only be one key that can unlock certain rooms. In other words, this is a message telling them to go to the second floor guest room next. So the adults moved to the second floor guest room, right? Yes. The door to the second floor guest room was locked, and a magic circle was drawn on it. The relatives unlocked it with the key they had found near Shannon's corpse. Inside, Kumasawa's corpse was discovered. It was a closed room, one that satisfied Beatrice's closed room definition. Kumasawa was in possession of one master key. The relatives collected this. Interesting. And like in Shannon's case, there was a western envelope discovered alongside her. Inside was the key to the third floor waiting room. The relatives moved to the third floor waiting room. So there was a magic circle on the door to the third floor waiting room, and that door was locked? Yes. Inside the room, Goda's corpse was discovered. The room was a closed room, one that satisfied Beatrice's closed room definition. Goda was in possession of one master key. The relatives collected this. And like up until now, a western envelope with the family seal was discovered, inside of which was the key to the second floor VIP room. The relatives moved to the second floor VIP room. What's going on here? What are you planning? There's no need to glare, is there? It may be a closed room, but there are still multiple master keys that can open it, correct? And besides the master keys, I've even given you keys specific to each room. I don't like where this is going, but I'm starting to see how it'll turn out. So it continues like this for all 6 people. Yes, that is correct. Inside the second floor VIP room, Genji's corpse was discovered. One master key was collected. The key to the underground boiler room was discovered. They moved to the underground boiler room. Inside the underground boiler room, Kinzo's corpse was discovered. The key to the chapel was discovered. They moved to the chapel. Inside the chapel, Cannon's corpse was discovered. One master key was collected. The key to the first floor parlor was discovered. With this, our reconstruction of how all 6 corpses were discovered is complete. I knew it, it's a fucking ring. But technically it's not really a ring, because the master keys can open any of the other doors. So they can just lock the keys in the specified rooms as long as a servant was maybe an accomplice and then killed, right? An addendum. Along with the key to the chapel, a letter was enclosed in the western envelope found near Kinzo's corpse. The contents of the letter were as you saw. It further urged the relatives to solve the riddle of the epitaph. In that case, what's going on? If the last place where Cannon was had the key to the very first room, the parlor where Shannon was, that makes 6 closed rooms all tied together, right? That is correct! The 6 closed rooms are all tied together. The keys to unlock each one are all shut up inside the next room. In other words, the 6 closed rooms form one massive closed room, and all of the master keys as well as the individual room keys are all shut up inside it. Furthermore, all of the doors and windows on the 6 rooms are normal. No device exists which can lock them without a key such as an auto lock. What do you think? It's beautiful, isn't it? Once again, milady, that is not dignified. When Ronove rebuked her, Beato stuck her tongue at him without showing any signs of shame. Sorry. Playing with Battler just put me into such a good mood. So, Battler, what do you think of my move? If you can't think of anything in particular, I wouldn't mind showing you how I made the goats carry the corpses and seal all of the rooms with magic, okay? Do what you want. I listen respectfully to this magic theory that you claim is true. However, I can claim my human theory, even though it's completely different from yours without any interference from your claim. In other words, there's no need for me to pay attention to your bullshit. Go ahead and show me how you can lock the door with your multicolored magic simply by waving your magic staff. Just like those guys with their Toad Oil and all-purpose kitchen knives. Virgilia, let's reconstruct the crime scene. Search for a weakness. Were they all definitely dead? If one of them is just plain dead, this isn't a closed room at all. Nanjo confirmed that all of them were dead. However, due to the devil's proof, it is impossible to deny the possibility of a wrong diagnosis. And it's also impossible to prove that Nanjo's not an accomplice again. He was probably an accomplice in the first and second games, honestly. In other words, that child cannot make the likelihood that Nanjo overlooked them being alive equal to 0. Here it is, that devil's proof. But there exists a sword that can carve that up. What's up with them? Looks like they're having a good time leaving me out of the discussion. I'm his opponent, am I not? Doesn't he have any time to spare for me? Fundamentally speaking, communication with one's opponent is not necessary to the act of competing in chess. Every time you're communicated with him outside of making your moves, you've used that opportunity to confuse him. Perhaps this is the result of him not wanting to be led astray. For some reason, I don't like it. You're challenging him to a chess match, are you not? That's true, but... yeah. Beatrice puffed out her cheeks, as though to say, I don't know why, but I don't like it. Okay. Because the police have not yet arrived at the crime scene, the human side's ability to inspect the crime scene is limited. For strict confirmation of death, I recommend that you have that child repeat it in red. Okay, that's where I'll strike. Repeat it. The 6 victims are all dead. Milady, he has told you to repeat something in red, has he not? Hey, enough lazing around. Do you refuse to repeat it? This is where our battle starts. What? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh. Sorry, that's fine, I'll answer. These 6 are all dead. Kinzo, Genji, Shannon, Kanon, Goda, and Kumasawa. Why are you so out of it? Okay, I've already got 1 out of you. We'll start by denying that classic trick where the victims are playing dead. I won't go easy on you anymore. Come at me how you like. I'll slice them slantwise one after another. Then repeat this. No one is hiding in any of the 6 rooms. Let's see you deny the existence of people we aren't aware of. I'll answer. There is no one hiding in the 6 rooms. Okay, now I'm sure it's only the 6 of them in the can, and they aren't pretending to be dead. What will you do? What will you do? As if a human could manage anything by now. Obediently kneel to the fact that I can control locks at will with my wonderful magic, okay? Quit babbling. Repeat this too. The 6 deaths were instant deaths. Instant deaths? Oh, what do you mean by that? It means there's a possibility that a single victim on the verge of death managed to escape into the room, and after locking it from the inside to create a closed room, they passed away. A classic closed room murder trick, one requiring that the victim receive a fatal wound and then die later. It is possible for a closed room to be constructed unexpectedly if the victim holds up inside the room to escape the murderer, and then dies after locking the door. In order to deny that possibility, you will need to proclaim that the 6 died instantly with the red truth. Very well, I'll slay you with my red treasured sword. The 6 died instantly. By died instantly, I mean the targets instantly became incapable of action after being attacked. Well, it might still have taken them several seconds or minutes to die in the complete sense of the word, but regardless, it was completely impossible for them to take any actions of their own will. In that sense, I can confirm that they suffered instant deaths. Up until this point, I've just been checking for the classic tricks. Now's when our showdown over the closed rooms really starts, okay? If the culprit isn't on the inside, they're on the outside, so they somehow killed from outside the rooms. Have you lost your mind? After all, a closed room equals murder is impossible from the outside, right? That's why only a magical murder would be possible. No, that's wrong. You're supposed to point. The right approach is, a murder really happened equals it isn't a closed room. No matter how much you try to trick me, this definitely isn't a closed room. It's a sham that only looks like one. Well, with the master keys, you can just go to any of the rooms, except all of them were locked. So at least one of them has to be the original closed room, right? However, Battler, only the victims are inside the rooms and no other people exist inside the rooms. And by Milady's closed room definition, remote murders from outside the rooms have been clearly denied, have they not? Wait, the definition of remote murders is pretty broad, right? It's not just about pulling a fishing line from outside the room and strangling the victim inside the room. For example, a trap would make for an excellent remote murder. A trap? Oh, and what might that be? Just as an example, let's say they were instructed to enter rooms that someone had picked out beforehand, and lock the doors from the inside to create the closed rooms themselves. A trap was set up in those rooms that they didn't know about, and that's what killed them. How's that? That doesn't contradict anything. There are no problems. It corresponds to the existing state. There are no problems on our side either. It does not conflict with Milady's closed room definition. What's with that stupid reasoning? Nothing suspicious was found in any of the rooms, right? What form did that trap have? Where was it hidden and how did it operate? Explain that for all 6 of them. In the parlor, the guest room, the waiting room, the VIP room, the boiler room, and the chapel. Well, you can't, can you? I refuse to counter that. There's no need for me to explain. And failing to do so doesn't damage my claim. What did you say? Beatrice, it's a devil's proof. The fact that he cannot explain the nature of the trap does not in itself deny the existence of such a trap. Yeah, I figured he'd just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna explain it. Fuck you. Well done, while overbearing a wonderful move. This guy's getting completely used to this. Check. Due to murder trap X that we couldn't find, it'd be possible to establish this closed room murder. I'll kill that check with the red truth. The 6 were not killed by traps. And the definition of a trap is... That's it. Something that activates when a victim triggers it on their own. Oh, and that's not all. If you order now, you can get 2. Buy one, get one free. It also includes things activated by remote control or by a timer, everything of that sort. Coop. So it refers to all arrangements that could carry out a murder without the direct participation of the one who planned it out. Perhaps we might sum it up that way. How's that? I've struck back. As if I'd let a human crush this closed room. You're looking pretty frantic to win, too. What? What do you mean? You're frantically fighting to make me accept your existence. Until now, I thought I was just being toyed around with by you one-sidedly. But that's not actually true. You're also frantically resisting my counters, fighting to show that you exist. Now, I finally really feel that it's true. This isn't torture inflicted on me, over whether I'll surrender or not. This is a fight between you and me on an even footing. Okay, now it's starting to get interesting, isn't it? All 6 died in closed rooms and no outsiders were inside. And there was no meddling from the outside and also no traps. Up until now, I'd probably start suspecting that this had to be the work of magic. And if you decide to show off some bizarre magic at this moment, I might even have surrendered. It's that favorite strategy of yours. You intercept all my moves, and in the moment I've exhausted all options and fallen to my knees, when my heart's barriers are at their weakest, you show off some strange magic and take the game all at once. That short temper is something this child has always had, along with a bad habit of rushing things when victory is in sight. After all, milady cannot stand putting off a match. Hey, shut up! Shut up! It's Battler's turn, right? I finished off that trap piece you'd advanced. What should I repeat next? Show me what you've got. Right. Now that even traps have been defeated, this looks like a perfect closed room murder at a glance. And that's why I'll spin the chessboard around right now. Here it comes, that special technique of yours. How exactly are you going to spin what around? Try showing me. Yeah, I'll show you. I don't need to think of how 6 people could be killed inside closed rooms from the outside. Ah, it's useless, it's useless. It's all useless. That's right. The question isn't how you can kill from outside the rooms. The point is how they died inside the rooms, making them closed rooms. That's it. This is the answer. If you assume that one of the 6 victims was the culprit, this closed room can be explained extremely easily. What? Ridiculous. I can't believe I clearly said in red that the 6 of them were dead. Oh, there were 6 deaths. 5 victims who got killed. But if you assume that the other person committed suicide, you can destroy this closed room. Certainly. If the culprit locked themselves in the final closed room and threw away their own life, this closed room chain would be established. The suicide of the culprit. Normally it would be an unthinkable move, but the argument that the unthinkable cannot exist cannot be used, and he has no responsibility to demonstrate a motive. A truly powerful move, which can only be used in a chess match against a witch. Well, one cannot be certain that there was no motive. For example, it has been announced that Kinzo only had a short time left to live. Perhaps he did not regret losing his short remaining life and used his own death to send a message. It might be possible to attach such a motive. Milady, it is our turn. Indeed. To think you trample even the dignity of the dead to create a culprit. What a heartless, cold-blooded man. I'll set up the dead as the culprit. This worse than inhuman move is one you used to attack Cannon in the last game. Even though the games are different, I'm taking a shot back at you with this move, as a tribute to Cannon for that time. Just now, I freed that Cannon from his regrets. Gah. You have no responsibility to hold back here. You should try to confirm that suicide wasn't the cause of any of their deaths. I recommend that you have that child repeated in red. Right. The suicide's a naive word that won't corner her. Beato, this'll stop you. Repeat it. The 6 deaths were all homicides. Oh, that is painful. Oh. What's wrong? All 6 of them were killed, right? I'm just confirming that simple premise we've had from the very beginning, right? Can't you repeat it? I refuse to repeat it. There's no reason in particular. You realize that refusing to repeat this part is the same as resigning, right? Checkmate! One of the 6 was the culprit and they planned to commit suicide after constructing the closed room. That's all. Wait, no, I'll say it. I'll use the red like you want. None of the 6 committed suicide. How's that? Are you satisfied? I've struck back. What the hell, so you can say it. But that's strange. Why are you so panicky? It's your imagination. This time, even I'm feeling the pressure. That's right, I don't have any leeway. Pay it no mind. The line you asked that child to repeat has been altered. Do not be fooled. Gah! It seems not to have worked, milady. That's right. She didn't say the 6 deaths were all homicides. She changed it to none of the 6 committed suicide. Which means one of them wasn't killed by someone else and didn't commit suicide. I've got it. This is the truth. Culprit X, who was hiding among the 6, murdered the other 5 and then set up a closed room. After that, they planned to escape from or hide in that room by some method. However, they got in an accident. The culprit died from an accident that even they hadn't expected, setting up a closed room murder that even they hadn't desired. Now it's over, Beatrice. Checkmate. Damn it. Did you think I'd be cornered by something like that? I'd never announce my resignation over something like that. I'll slice up that foolish checkmate with my red treasured sword over and over again. None of the 6 died in accidental... Muga? My apologies. We request some time to strategize. Please allow us a brief postponement on this matter. It's a fair request. Perhaps you should accept it. Sure, take a break. I've been given those a lot lately. Now it's your turn to take one. Thank you very much. Come, milady, this way. And let us quietly count to 100 inside our heads. Ronove quickly covered Beato's mouth with his hand as she grew thoroughly panicked and agitated, suspending the game. He pulled Beato away, supposedly to hold a strategy conference. Wow, okay. Damn. That demon butler. When Beato got all hot, I had a perfect chance to corner her. Beato normally acted like she was graceful and above it all, but she actually had a really short temper and got mad easily. Her usual intellect had less of a voice when she got excited. Ronove certainly is thinking clearly. He probably gave your opponent some time to cool down. That child grew too stubborn to trying to remove your check, and was about to easily let several large pieces go. After all, the first twilight is only a skirmish. The correct move at that time would have been to withdraw. So, what does it mean? Did I reach checkmate or didn't I? That child was about to say something in red. You probably wouldn't have reached checkmate yet, but most likely you can expect our opponents to resign once they've cooled their heads. You're joking, even though she hates losing that much? Yes. In a losing battle, it is essential to withdraw your troops as soon as possible, to try and minimize your losses. The difficult part is gauging whether it's a losing battle or not. Your opponent's butler seems to have calmly made that decision. It's like me playing StarCraft. I'm just like, yeah, let's ascend in 12 single zealots and see how it works. And then it's just like, fuck, they all died because I'm stupid. Oh well. In other words, she managed to escape by a hair's breadth. Getting checkmate and delivering the final blow won't be that easy for me. However, you should count this as your victory. It seems they barely managed to prevent a large loss, but they certainly sustained considerable damage. The scale of that child's panic ought to make the depths of that wound quite clear to you. Seriously. Feels like she'd start crying if I bullied her anymore. As we talked, Ronove returned with Beata, who wore a meek expression. She didn't yet have her usual bold smile, but it looked like the blood wasn't rushing to her head anymore. Hey, it's your turn. Did you decide on your next move? I resign. For now, I will let you have your victory. Beato told me that frankly. It seemed she'd taken a far-sighted view, as though saying, if you want to laugh, then laugh. It was a bit of a killjoy, and I lost my desire to deliver the final blow. Well, now that you've resigned, that just means we're even, since my theory and yours can't deny each other. You should treat it more like a tie than a loss. I don't need your disgusting sympathy. I'm telling you that I lost this round. When you find a dog drenched with rain, do you have a sudden urge to whack it with a stick or something? Nope, I'm not you. Rude? Even though she ridiculed me horribly when I showed signs of defeat, this is the best she's got when the tables are turned. I did feel that was pretty cowardly of her, but I decided to act with dignity as the victor and let it slide. Beato resigned. That's the one result of the first Twilight. Beatrice couldn't counter my move of one of the six was the culprit, and that person died in an accident. No, she probably could have countered it, but for some strategic reason she admitted defeat. It felt less like I'd won, and more like I'd let her slip away at the last second. I don't feel like that was a long enough transition, but hey, whatever. We're at an hour and 10 minutes, and that's a decent stopping point. So that's gonna be it for this episode. If you liked it, be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!